Hello and welcome to Final Boss Fight. My name is Jeff, and tonight, after a long hiatus, we return to Call of Cthulhu Masks of Nyarlathotep. I am joined by our group of investigators. I'm joined by the quest giver Ben.
Hello, pleasure to see you.
I'm joined by Brian Croy Dragon,
Hello.
and I am joined by Robin.
Hello, what am I doing here again?
We kidnapped you, and now you're forced to play with us for the rest of your life.
Ah, damn.
Sounds about right.
Yep. So, to recap the story so far, you have been summoned. You were summoned to New York by Jackson Elias, who required your assistance in investigating the Carlyle Expedition, which went missing, presumed all killed, in Nairobi. However, Jackson believed he had uncovered evidence that they were in fact alive and had spent the last few years traveling around to the various places they had been to, trying to see what evidence he can dig up. When you arrived at his room at the Hotel Chelsea, you found that he had been brutally murdered by members of what seemed to be a local cult, and you spent the next few days investigating his death, chasing down leads, which culminated in an interview with Hilton Adams, someone who'd been accused of the murders, wrongfully accused of the murders. He told you what he knew, um, how that he and his friends had been investigating the murders and disappearances themselves. However, they'd been put under pressure to stop these investigations, and he had been caught at the scene of the crime and unjustly accused with trumped up evidence and was now on death row. You also made the acquaintance of Rebecca Schoenberg, a journalist with the New York Times, who was able to provide you with further information, including contacting Hilton Adams' wife, Millie Adams. On the morning of the 24th of January, you received a frantic phone call from Rebecca Schoenberg saying that Millie Adams had disappeared, and she suspected that Millie had been kidnapped by the cult. You followed up the lead and you arrived at the JuJu House, a purveyor of South African artifacts. While you were there, you encountered the corrupt police captain, Captain Robson, who held you at gunpoint, but you managed to overpower him and forced him to lead you into a trapdoor leading underneath the JuJu House into a basement where you found a large gathering of people from all different kinds of parts of New York, all engaged in what looked like a cult ritual. You also found Rebecca Schoenberg down there, having been kidnapped and was currently held by not so much a man, more like some sort of undead creature with the face of Millie Adams. There, to cut a long story short, a huge fight broke out. The cult attempted to unleash some hideous monstrosity. However, you prevailed. Captain Walter Robson was taken by the cult and thrown into a pit with this monstrosity.
Yay.
And I believe you set the place alight once the dust had died down. But Denver Smith set the whole place on fire.
Sounds like something I'd do.
Oh, yes, you very much did. And in the aftermath, the local good police officer, Lieutenant Martin Poole, um, took your statements, investigated the incident, and showed you the evidence he had managed to recapture from the remains of the basement. He showed you a strange four-headed mask. He showed you a book. I believe that was Africa's Dark Sects, which you know had been stolen from the Harvard Library. And he showed you a marine chronometer, which had been set to 5 hours ahead, apparently set to a different time zone, set to GMT time. That evening, the investigators each had a strange dream of the end of the world where the sky opened and unspeakable monstrosities rained down from the heavens onto the earth. And as you woke up, Tim Sullivan, your Sphinx of black quartz, which you bought from an antique store and had been behaving a bit strangely, had a message carved into its base, and the message read, "The stars will soon be right." And I believe that's where we got up to.
Oh.
So, do we have these items that were shown at the end, or?
I will say that a few more days have passed. I'll move us to the correct map. Actually, just give me a moment. I'll move us to the New York map. So I will say that a few days have passed. It is now the 28th of January of 1925, and several developments have happened. The investigation into the affair of the JuJu House has been completed, and with the evidence gathered there, Lieutenant Poole believes that at the very least he can start proceedings to appeal Hilton Adams' sentencing. Not guaranteed of a reprieve, but he is very confident. And also to say that Lieutenant Martin Poole is now Captain Martin Poole, as he has been transferred to the Harlem Division, taking over Captain Walter Robson's old district. So, what would the three of you, Professor Eckhart Metz, your companion, has decided that since the investigation into Jackson Elias' murder is now over and the perpetrators have been caught, he is returning to Miskatonic University to continue his research work there. So, how would the three of you been spending the last few days since the 24th of January?
Flint would have gone to the biggest park and be hunting all the wildlife with just a dagger or a knife.
Central Park, I believe that would be.
Trying to get all those goddamn squirrels.
Yes, I've heard those grey ones are nasty.
I believe in myself, I'd probably be trying to read through the sex page and trying to figure out basically this new stuff we've been given and taking a good look over that mask. Because at the moment, about the only clue which I've got, or that I can see, is going back over to, well, merry old England.
You do have some clues that you retrieved from Jackson Elias' hotel room that you haven't had the opportunity to follow up on, mainly because they do lead you to other countries. There is the card from the Penhew Foundation in London, Tottenham Court Road. There is the letter from Warren Bizart, who you understand to be the Carlyle Expedition's fixer in Cairo. There is the matchbox for the Stumbling Tiger bar in Shanghai, where you remember that Jackson Elias had visited. There is the photograph from Australia, which Professor Cowley had given to Eckhart Metz and he passed on to you, showing strange ruins, and you have the lecture notes from Cowley concerning the worship of the sandbat. And of course, there is all the texts about Kenya, about Kenya and something called the Mountain of the Black Wind.
Sorry, can you go through them again? I've got Penhew Foundation for London.
Yep.
Warren
Bizart leads you to Cairo. You have a photograph of a ship and a matchbox from the Stumbling Tiger bar in Shanghai.
Mm-hmm. Was that Warren or Lauren?
Warren Bizart. Warren Bizart. You have notes from Professor Cowell's lecture concerning the worship of the sandbat in Australia, along with a picture showing strange ruins in the Australian outback. And you have the evidence of the cult itself and evidence from the book Africa's Dark Sects, which would point to something strange happening in Kenya.
Right.
My only point, what I was trying to say about is the fact that we have a clock which is made for GMT time.
Mm-hmm. We do.
Now that I have no idea why I'm not them. I'm using that one, but still, that points me straight back to England. It might not be the best one to go for. To be fair, we've got a lot of different bits and pieces all over the place.
And you do also have Jackson Elias's notes on Nairobi, notes from London,
Aye.
strange diagrams that he had made.
And that's the other reason. That thing he drew on the London one. I'm still trying to pick my brain around that. In fact, going on with the pawn sacrifice and such, it feels like it's a chessboard of sorts.
So what, you think there's more pieces at play?
I think they are, but I think they're all over the place. The problem is that they might be from different countries, but have already had bits moved to locations where they're required. After all, let's
Where do
face
we
it,
start?
that, my friend, is the question. And a darn good one at this point.
Well, as you're discussing this and you're discussing these notes and everything, I'm going to ask you all to make me intelligence rolls, please.
Ah.
Be intelligent.
Yeah, I was going to say Flint's strong point.
Yeah.
It's his weakest stat.
Yeah, you never know.
Oh, that's got a success.
Yeah, hard success for Tim.
Bad feeling for me.
I'm going to give it to Tim, actually. So when you look at the diagram that Jackson drew on his notes of this strange grid with various symbols in it, something about that connects with the strange message you saw carved into the bottom of the Sphinx. The stars will soon be right. Does that suggest anything to you?
Is it supposed to?
I'm asking, does it suggest anything to you?
Stars may be right. Could they be constellations, maybe?
Possibly.
I mean, if that's a star map of sorts, then that really could locate us down to a particular area.
Perhaps there's an astronomy tower or an astronomer we can speak with.
The stars may be right. In contact with New York. Like Cancer. My always been onto the gutter like a fish. Hang on a second, we're getting something. Cancer and fish, that sounds like a couple of the main constellations. Those are the zodiac.
Yes.
Could that be trying to point us into the right area of the space?
Right area, or alternatively,
let's see, like a collection of mass which faces real. What's underneath? Underneath? What is underneath? Can we take a look inside that mask of four faces?
you look at the mask of four faces. I will just show you this again, actually. Let me just show you again. Oops, sorry, that was the wrong button to press. There we are. Mask of Four Faces. It's like this leather sort of collar that fits, that you can see seems to fit around a person's neck, and these four strange faces that are like nothing you've seen before.
I was going to say Flint's going to take the mask and he's going to put it on Denver Smith's head.
Wait, what the hell are you thinking, dude?
Are you going to resist this, Denver?
I'm going to try and resist this. I don't know what the damn thing does.
Okay, both of you make me fighting brawl checks. I'm counting this as a maneuver.
Hard success.
Fumble. Oh wow. So, Denver, what do you do as Flint is trying to put this mask onto your head? What exactly are you doing? And Flint has rolled a fumble here. That is a
Right.
critical. That is a critical fail. I'll ask you. What do you wish to do?
I ain't going to save it in this sort of mix around. I'm going to grab his hands as he does so, try to twist him around. I mean, force that mask onto his own head. If you want someone to wear it, you put it on you.
Flint, you did roll a fumble. I'm
I
going
did.
to allow this. I'm going to
Yeah,
allow this.
no,
I'm going to
go
allow
for
that
it.
to happen. I'm going to allow that to happen.
Go for it.
Don't forget to tick off your skills when you succeed. By the way, so
Aye.
that's a tick. So, Flint, this thing like collar goes over your face, and immediately it kind of constricts around your neck, holding itself tightly in position, and you almost can't breathe, but you can still breathe, but it's almost like you feel like this thing is choking you. And if you're trying to pull it off, you can't pull it free. After about 15 seconds, your struggles start to lessen, and you feel somewhat, I say, relaxed or entranced. After 30 seconds, something appears in front of your eyes. Can you please roll me a 1d4?
A 1d4.
Yes.
3.
You have a vision. You have a vision of this unspeakable entity, all black mass of tentacles, of pincers, in the sky, on the ground, all around you. You see this thing, it's completely like nothing you've ever seen before. It fills you with absolute dread and horror. A name appears in your mind. You don't know where it comes from, but you somehow know that this is the right name. Shub-Niggurath.
Can I get a spelling of that, please?
I'll give it to you later. I'll give it to you later. I would like you now to make me a sanity roll.
Roll well.
And pray you
Ooh.
pass.
Oh!
Okay. Can you roll me a 1d10, please? You lose 5 points of sanity. And I need you to make me an intelligence roll.
Right, just 2 seconds, one thing at a time. That's down to 33.
Yep.
Intelligence rule.
Yes.
Hey!
You manage to shake yourself free of this vision, and you do act, and the mask does actually release itself, and you do manage to pull it from your head with a start.
See?
And I'm just going to throw it to the other side of the room. And, like, almost, you see Flint literally fall on the ground and start, like, backing as far away from the mask as he can get.
But something of the vision you received still lingers in your mind. Can you roll me another d10, please?
Oh.
5 again.
You can gain 5 to your Cthulhu mythos.
So, what did you see?
Flint's just babbling uncontrollably at the minute.
We'll give him a moment. Right. I go and pick up the mask and now look on the inside. Because I'm presuming, Tim, you're not going to try and force this one on my face as well.
Yeah. Eventually Flint will come round and he's like, if Denver hasn't put it on already, he's going to say, yeah, don't. You do not want to see.
Well, going by your reaction, I think you're quite right there.
But there was... I don't even know how to begin to describe it.
Take your time. Would you like a wee dram? I might keep you going for a dick.
Give me the bottle.
Oh, that
And he
bad.
pours out a little dram and then kind of takes the bottle and puts the dram to one side.
I'll pick up the dram. Right. We'll go on then, son. What do you see?
It was like I was transported somewhere. I don't know where. Just some alien landscape. And there was something there. It was giant. A kind of roiling black tentacle-y mass that was just everywhere. It blotted out the sky, it blotted out the mountains. There was a name. What was that name? Shub Naruga? Nagarath?
Nagarath.
Algorand.
If anybody
And Flint
wishes,
starts just gulping down the bottle.
if anybody wishes to, and has points in, I think you've all got points in Cthulhu Mythos or points in Occult. I will ask you. You can make me a roll on either of those, your choice.
And I might as well try.
Yeah, you. What's
Wow!
that? You're almost tempted to put the mask on yourself to like see what he's on about.
Shikamurith? Who's that fucking thing? Hold on a second.
What about yourself, Tim? Do you want to have a try at those? Either Cthulhu Mythos or Occult roll?
Sure.
You can't get much worse than I have.
Muller.
Yeah, you've never heard of
No.
this thing. You have no idea what this thing is, any of you. But just the name alone makes you shiver, makes something, especially you, Denver. You feel like there's some sort of like sweat dropping down the back of your neck as you hear this name, but you're not quite sure why.
Well, that is interesting. I've got to say this. Is there anything on the inside? Anything where you can see before putting on the mask?
No, it just looks like a leather collar on the inside.
Right. And it didn't leave any marks around... no. Okay.
No.
All right. So, not asking for that then, though. Maybe that answers the question on which face is real. I see everywhere. People on our side, cops. So they've been in the military. The power state lurking inside like cancer. Like fish. Like the cancer of Gemini. Too ghastly, these dreams. I survived there.
I've just had a look at what this thing looks like. It is not pretty.
You normally say they're cute.
They normally are.
Oh boy.
I've opened the gate. Why? What's in? Nick fucked them. Blackberry. What's his answer? We don't get to look at fish.
Are there any more questions or clarifications you have on the evidence so far?
To see if the power and danger is real.
Just trying to.
Who's the real evil here? Some of them pawns who is the Grandmaster. It's to see if he's moved direct attack. The Black King. He's a Black King. You can see.
Black King. I mean, this is
Impossible
not my
to
area of
play to
expertise, but
throw.
Tim, there in Egypt, the pharaohs were known as kings, weren't they?
Yes, pharaohs were kings.
And we have a lot of Egyptian things that we've been discovering. And as well as
Yes,
other Africans. Could it maybe be something to do with that?
perhaps. I know that at one point the Nubians did conquer Egypt, and thus their kings were pharaohs as well.
Tim, you also recall in your travels in New York, conversations with the antique shop owner Lester Goodman concerning a figure from Egyptian history called the Black Pharaoh.
Hold on, the Black Pharaoh, that's it!
Okay.
Do you
Black
remember
Pharaoh?
Lester Goodman?
Oh, the one you really didn't like.
Yes, he spoke of a Black Pharaoh. If a pharaoh is a king, then maybe maybe the Black King and the Black Pharaoh are the same person.
It's not a too distant leap.
Sacrifice of Did we speak to a librarian?
I believe the only librarian you've spoken to a couple of librarians, but it was mainly to follow up on books. There was the librarian Miriam Atwright from Harvard who said that the book that Jackson Elias had asked about, the Africa's Dark Sects, had gone missing, presumed stolen. And there is also the New York Public Library where they were missing a copy of one of the tomes you retrieved from the Carlyle estates, the narcotic manuscripts. So, and of course, there is the Library of Miskatonic back in 1923, where their copy of the Book of Ibon had gone missing. So, your interaction with librarians mainly has been to do with books that have been stolen without any known trace.
The librarian has answers. Has the answers if they don't gutter like a fish. Have we been to any of the libraries? And if we have, do we remember any of them having perhaps zodiac signs around?
I will say that's the only library you've been to here is the New York Public Library, and the answer was no. And it's possible, I think, that the librarian referred to in Jackson Elias's notes is Miriam Atwright. But the answers that she had would be held in this book, Africa's Dark Sects.
See.
Which, of course, had been stolen.
Aye.
But we've got the page from it now, don't we?
I would say you've got the entire book. This is just like one small portion of the book
Right.
that contains relevant information.
Bloody tongue conjuring something called the Black Wind.
Black Wind.
Sorry, I'm just reading this Dark Sects page again. I can read it out loud if people want.
It's a big. I say it's a big one, so that's up to you. But it is a long one.
Aye, that it is.
So Nigel Blackwood, Africa's Dark Sects, Chapter 8, The Bloody Tongue. Our expedition travelled east across the Rift Valley and into the mountainous highlands of central Kenya. There, Kamau said he would endeavour to take us to a region where, a small cult worshipped a god known as the Bloody Tongue. The members of this cult were reviled by all local tribes in the area. Legend held that the cult of the Bloody Tongue was able to conjure something villagers called the Black Wind. It was a literal wind, but infused with evil spirits, such that it brought plague, famine, and death upon any in its path. The conjuration of the Black Wind was a rite celebrated by the members of the cult to honour the god of the Bloody Tongue. I asked Kamau about the god's name, assuming it was named for some kind of bloodletting or sacrifice carried out by the celebrants, akin to self-mutilation we saw carried out in the mad rites of the Pain Dream sect in Congo. But Kamau was hesitant to speak more about how this cult came to be so known. Rather, he said this was something we should see for ourselves. Stealth was paramount in attempting to witness the rite of the Bloody Tongue. And in the end, we determined that Kamau and I should go alone, as we'd be less likely to draw attention of the cultists whose thirst for blood sacrifice is legendary in the region. We travelled 2 days into the highlands, the mountains growing larger and the trails becoming steeper as we worked our way up from the savannah into the verdure of Kenya's mountainous peaks. The final miles were difficult travel as we all needed to stay off gate paths to avoid making ourselves known to the cult members. We traversed the side of a low peak and eventually climbed into a large tree which provided a decent but shielded view of a clearing below. We covered ourselves with large branches and leaves and waited for nightfall. Kamau reiterated the need for silence if we were successful to bear witness to the cult's rites. As darkness fell, perhaps 100 celebrants came to the clearing, many busying themselves in building a large bonfire and many more shepherding a group of clearly terrified captives. The captives were forced to stand with their arms and feet as far apart as possible, and in this posture they were bound to each other, wrist to wrist, ankle to ankle, and from where I sat they looked a bit like a fence. There were perhaps 20 of them bound in this fashion. A priestess of sorts entered the scene. I was surprised to see she appeared young and had strikingly attractive features. Still, it was clear the other members of the cult feared her and gave her great deference. To one side of the bonfire sat a group of 4 drummers, with 3 large djembe drums and 1 smaller, higher-pitched drum. When the victims were fully prepared, the priestess gave a nod to the drummers, who began beating in a frenzied pitch, sounding out a rhythm the likes of which I'd never heard before. As the priestess whirled around the firelit circle, chanting dim words from an ancient spell, the cult executioners busied themselves with their screaming sacrifices. As the blood flowed, a chill wind sprang up, and I felt a flash of fear. The wind had become visible, a black vapour against the gibbous, leering moon, and slowly my terror grew as I comprehended the monstrous thing taking form. The corrosive stench of it hinted at a vileness beyond evil. When I saw the great red appendage which alone constituted the face of the thing, my courage died, and I fled screaming into the night. It was indeed fortunate that the following morning I was found by the ever-capable Kamau, for had the cult members found me, I have no doubt I'd been among the next of their victims, being white or no. As we travelled to the lowland to meet the others, Kamau told me that the priests and priestesses of the Bloody Tongue practice a form of magic which allow them to bring the dead back to life again. The practice seemed to be in keeping with voodoo.
Interesting.
All of that seems to tie in with what you saw in the basement of the JuJu House.
Aye.
Now, we know it was the Bloody Tongue acting in New York.
Going along with the different things. Aye, 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 aye. Hmm. I wonder whether the bloody tongue stands for one of these symbols. I've already come across that little face one, which seemed to be in the forehead of some people.
Mm-hmm.
I have wondered whether that cross with the circle on it is the inverted ankh, as mentioned in the Carlyle reports,
Yeah.
with the caller with an inverted black ankh blazed on his forehead. Evo apparently had no conscious interest of anything Egyptian. I suppose I could see the bloody tongue being that sort of upside down circle thing. Oh, this gets deeper and deeper. Why can't some of this stuff be a bit more simple?
I was going to say, neither of us are particularly the brains of the group, are we?
No. I mean, no, of course I am. What are you talking about? Speak for yourself.
Where the hell's Met's gone when you need him?
Ran away to Manny, I'm sure.
Yes, well, we need to decide where we're going to be going.
We do. Have you any thoughts yourself, Tim?
Well, as stupid as it sounds, why not go in alphabetical order? Or, here's a better idea. Start going with it, whichever is geographically the closest.
And that makes some sense, if nothing else. If there is any time of the essence, and getting to a place which is nearby makes some sense.
I can give some, well, not direction, but I can give some options for this. I'm going to move us to the expedition map. This is, when it loads, this is a map showing the route of the Carlyle Expedition.
Of the route.
Yes. So they started in New York, travelled to England, London, from there making their way down to Egypt, Kenya.
London, England.
That as well.
You said
That
England, England,
It was-
London.
I knew what I was saying at the time, but you're absolutely right, yes. New York, travelling to London, making their way down to Cairo in Egypt. From there down to Nairobi in Kenya, where they purportedly were massacred. Jackson Elias's route was different. He started from New York. He travelled to Nairobi first. And then from there he found things that led him to Shanghai in China. And then he made his way back to London, where he was planning to go to Australia afterwards. But something happened in London from his notes, and he returned to New York. Or you can make your own way through, but yeah, those are the two main routes that people have taken in this.
So my thoughts would be to maybe try and pick up the trail where our good friend Jackson kind of left off, and maybe go to London.
I am starting to think that's a good idea and all.
And that follows the original Carlyle Expedition's route as well.
It makes some sense to go that route. In which case, do we want to go to Liverpool first and then down to London?
The ship routes would actually go to Southampton. and then from
Oh,
there you keep
I
train to
know.
London.
It's more along the lines of where they landed. So I
That's
know
fair.
our ship route's going to take us to a particular location, all that side of
Hmm.
things, but just going by the marked routes.
That's fair enough. Yeah.
So more going and seeing the locations of which they've actually been to. See if there weren't something there as well. So by the sounds of things, if you'd just gone to around London and then something happened there, we definitely want to take a look and see what that is. But
And of course, you do have the business card that Jackson Elias had from London, the Penhue
Yes.
Foundation.
aye, and that clock. Very curious as to why we got a clock.
I think my vote is to head to London, but I'll defer if you want to go elsewhere.
No,
London is perfectly fine.
I'd say when it comes down to it, it seems to be the closest one as well. So I think that ticks your box there, Tim, and all. So we're going off to Merry old London, eh?
Mm-hmm.
Get to see your homeland.
Close. But close enough, I suppose.
Okay.
We'll be able to grab a good bottle while we're there. Show you what it's supposed to taste like.
So
I
you're
look forward to it.
going to make preparations to depart to London.
Mhm.
The current date is the 28th of January 1925, and inquiries at the local travel agents in New York will ascertain that the next boat to London is the SS Mississippi, which will be departing from the port of New York on Saturday, the 31st of January.
31st of January.
Can one of you please roll me 2d6?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, Flint, please roll me 2d6.
9.
So it will take 8 days to travel from New York to doesn't go to Liverpool, this one will go to the port of Southampton.
All
After
right.
that, you'll be able to take a train into London. So it'll be 8 days from New York to Southampton. Would you like to travel first class or second class?
Well, I'm happy with
Or
second
steerage?
class.
Okay.
Oh, what? Sorry.
Or steerage. Just like
What's-
to get. That's when they stick you in the hold.
Oh, right. Okay.
So if you go second class, that will be $120 per person, but that you can expense back to Jackson Elias's lawyer, Carlton Ramsey, who will reimburse you for it. I'd say that just as a matter of interest, not because it actually has any effect.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Would you be communicating your plans? The contacts you've got here are... Well, Rebecca Schoenberg is currently undergoing treatment in the hospital from her experiences. So there is Jackson Elias's publisher, Jonah Kensington at Prospero House. There is his lawyer, Carlton Ramsey. And of course, Captain Poole, your friendly local police officer contact.
It probably does not hurt to let people know while leaving. Certainly, Mr. Thingy, who's given us all the money.
Aye. Well, let's face it, when it comes down to it, we want to know that we're actually following through.
Exactly. I think we leave. If Miss Schoenberg's in the hospital, we potentially let her recover and get someone else to pass a message on to her when she's feeling a bit better.
Yeah, that makes sense to me.
Yes.
I would say we possibly want to let people know, as I say. Do you want me to deal with the policeman?
Please, I have a feeling that I will not be the greatest, and that Tim, well, Tim, you know, that's just you go and talk. You go and do the talking.
Indeed.
Okay.
Talking, mind. I don't want to hear you end up putting a gun in his face or anything.
I make no promises.
All right, Tim, you go and talk to the. You might well be the most sophisticated at the Lost Stars.
Okay.
To be fair, I like Poole, so unless he threatens me, I won't be pulling a weapon on him.
I agree with you there.
So we'll say that days actually don't matter at this stage, but we'll say at some point between the 28th and the 31st, you do go to visit Captain Poole at his new office in the Harlem district. He's still writing his notes on the case and on the evidence that he's had. The investigation may be over, but the paperwork goes on for a long time. And he looks up and goes, "Mr. Locke, it's good to see you. To what do I owe this visit?"
Well, first off, I would like to offer you a present, and I hold up a dead squirrel and plonk it on his desk.
He looks a bit bemused, but I think he's probably used to your quirks by now.
But yes, I hope this isn't taking up too much of your time.
Well, it's my job, isn't it?
Yes, and you're doing a good job of it as well.
At least we've seen the end of those murders. So that's one good thing. That's one good thing that's come out of all this.
Yes. The less people suffering, the better. Anyway, I just wanted to kind of, as a courtesy, drop by and let you know that we are going to be heading to Denver Smith's homeland. Good old England.
Oh, okay. You're leaving New York.
We are.
Okay. I wish we'd been able to get to know each other under better circumstances, but as it is, you've been a good man to have in a fight, Mr. Locke. It's been a pleasure to know you.
Yes, it would just be more convenient if I could carry around Loretta.
Well, if you're heading to England, you're going to have trouble doing that. They have very strict gun laws, even stricter than here. You're going to need licenses for literally everything over there. Speaking of which, whereabouts in England are you heading to?
London, I believe it was. We're following the old Carlyle Expedition route.
Oh, okay. Listen, when you get over there, there's somebody you might want to look up. One of the policemen over there from Scotland Yard. His name's Barrington, Inspector Barrington. We had dealings a few years ago. We had occasion to work a case together that's affected both London and New York. He's a bit of a strict guy. He's somewhat stuck in his ways, but he's a good man to have at your back. He'll be able to. He might be able to help you, or you may be able to help him.
I'll try and remember that name. Out of character, Jeff, is this a Barrington that we know in one of our other game or not?
No, this is actually Inspector Barrington from Scotland Yard. He is part of this game.
Right.
Oh.
No, I just for some reason thought he was part of Horror on the Orient Express for some reason. But anyway, yes, I'm noticing that. Okay, we'll keep an eye out for him. I was going to say it would be nice to be able to send word of us coming beforehand, but by the time it gets there, we'll be there as well.
Yeah, Postal Service needs a lot of work before it actually works out. Although you can still send a telegram. They'll get there before you do. They'll get there within hours.
That's a good idea. How do we work those newfangled thingy gummins?
There's a telegraph office just up the road. Just tell them what you want to send, and they'll do it for you.
Okay. Thank you.
No, thank you. I guess. Godspeed. All the best to you and your friends. Yeah. Good luck.
Anyway, you can get me a license for the guns going over to England.
He just like looks at you, but he says, telegraph office will have forms. We'll have forms for you to, if you want to do that, to fill in.
Right. I will.
Usually, usually, if I remember the laws correctly, pistols and rifles are restricted. You do need licenses for them. But funnily enough, and I don't know why this is, shotguns are allowed. You don't need a license for them.
Shotguns. Not my forte. Messy, but.
And apparently that was a genuine thing. Shotguns were not considered firearms.
Yeah.
That's so weird to think.
I know.
It was because, well, back then the shotgun also wasn't as powerful. It was just a spray shot. So think more like a bird shot. So you could harm people, but it wasn't as lethal.
Right.
So, yeah.
Might have to look into purchasing one of them as well, then.
Flint just like walks around with this like arsenal weapon strapped to his back.
And with that, Flint will go off and try and send the telegram off to Barrington. Probably with terrible spelling. Say that they're going to be arriving at some point. He's going to get the paperwork for his rifle and pistol and try and fill that in. And you know what? He's going to buy the party free shotguns.
Okay. Are you going to expense this back to Carlton Ramsey, or
Of course.
Are you going to front that yourself? Okay. So Flint's just getting in supplies, expecting a fight. Tim, what are you going to be spending the next few days doing before departure?
Then we'll be doing some research, sending some letters, one to his son back home, and maybe try to get into contact with someone he met on the Carter expedition that found Tutankhamun.
Ah, would this be a Mr. Beatty?
Yes.
Yes, okay. That's
It's the time period, so
It really is, yes. If you're sending
Just
a letter to
Ben knows Edward Beatty is Brian's other character in Horror on the Orient Express.
Okay.
if this was a few decades later, I'd probably be debating on
No, it makes perfect sense. It makes absolutely perfect sense. In fact, if you're writing to Edward Beatty, would you be writing about your intentions to visit London and possibly even the Penhew Foundation?
yes.
I'll say that you send a telegraph, and because letters are going to take ages. But probably if you send it off on the 28th, I'll say by the 30th you do get a response. Actually, you could say that would it be right to say that Edward's in America at this point, assuming he survives Horror on the Orient Express? If he doesn't survive, we can say that it's somebody else you met. But even so, I'm happy to go with Edward Beatty.
There were two Edward Beattys.
It's either the same Edward Beatty or this is a slightly different alternate universe, but this with similar events.
Yeah.
Either way, you receive a reply from Edward saying, "Well, I do know a bit about the Penhew Foundation. They're supposed to be one of the foremost Egyptian exhibits in London, possibly even in the UK. I haven't been there myself, but they've got a good reputation. I just hope they're better than that silly museum in Trieste." He has never been able to let that one go. Like in the 2 years since you've known him, he has just been banging on about this museum in Trieste where they mislabeled all the Egyptian artifacts.
Yeah. I mean, that would do it.
That happened in our last game as well.
That was a brilliant piece, yeah. The party visited a museum in Trieste with Egyptian exhibits, and Brian's character, who is an Egyptologist, just ripped the whole thing to shreds, saying like, "No, this is the wrong date, this is the wrong dynasty, this is the wrong period." It was amazing to watch. It's now canon.
Wow.
Any supplies or anything you want to be buying or in preparation?
Probably a few new sets of clones.
Mm-hmm.
Some information books on the locale, since Tim's from Nova Scotia.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Are you I'm going to turn to Denver now for a moment while Tim's doing that. Denver,
Sorry,
how
that
you...
just made Sarah laugh when I told her as well.
Yeah. Denver, how are you spending these few days?
Good. I'm currently sort of taking down a couple of notes on just in case things go missing, so I made a little war journal. About the Penn Hugh Foundation business card and the address on that one. You sure I got that one down personally.
Mm-hmm.
Once again, scratching out Jackson Ellis's diagram. And then, just for the sake that it carries on itching my brain, is there anyone I could go to talk about the constellations and if there is anything which might have some significance?
Ooh, that's an interesting question. Make me a... What would this be? Because essentially you're trying to have a contact. I will say that... Oh, you got me thinking now. This is me thinking on my feet. This is actually quite interesting. I'm just going to look down your... What's your skill list? Just make me a luck roll. Actually, just make me a straight up luck roll.
Right, you are.
Hard success.
Oh yeah.
I'm gonna let. Well, with a hard success, I'm gonna let you describe this. Who do you think would be a good contact for this? What sort of person do you have in mind for this?
Well, I'm imagining that there's going to be some kind of astronomy place to go to, and going in, I can imagine there's a slightly eccentric someone or other inside who's just happens to be a little bit in the know how when it comes down to the stars and how they are, and generally a few of the myths and beliefs around them. So effectively the mythology behind the constellations and such. And can tell you how the star systems are and all that side of things, can point you in the right direction of the North Star and all that lot. We can also tell you some of the stories behind them.
Okay, so the way I think this would be best working, you said you wanted to talk to Jonah Kensington at least about your intentions.
Mm-hmm.
So we can say you go to visit him to inform him of you're leaving New York to go to London, and well, one thing is he will say to you, if you're heading to London, there's someone else you might want to meet that Jackson Elias was in contact with. A guy named Mickey Mahoney. He works for a tabloid called The Scoop. A lot of it apparently is drivel, but Jackson seemed to have confidence in him. Mickey Mahoney, yeah. I'll send him a wire, let him know you're coming. And then, if you express your desire to get in contact with someone knowledgeable about astronomy, he will direct you to Professor Carrington at the New York University. And Professor Carrington is exactly as you described, sort of elderly, a bit absent-minded, somewhat eccentric.
Okay. Well, in which case, I'm personally going to start making a beeline for Professor Carrington.
Okay. That is in South Manhattan. The New York University is in South Manhattan. And we can say that evening would be an appropriate time to visit someone who is interested in the stars.
Aye, that definitely makes some sense.
You are directed to this office, and as you enter, there's star charts, there's astrolabes, like the models of the Earth spinning round and the solar system spinning round. There's star charts on the walls. There's a telescope pointing out the window, and it's this elderly gentleman, somewhat stooped, bald, with like grey hair around him, with like glasses, and he goes, "Oh, yes, you must be Mr. Smith, who asked to see me. What can I do for you, my boy?"
Aye, it's a pleasure making your acquaintance, Professor. You see, I am having a curiosity in my mind. We were given a letter whilst we're doing a few investigations, and I can't help but believe that there's a code written inside this thing. And there's a mention of cancer and fish, and I can't help but immediately think of the constellations. I was wondering if maybe you'd like to take a look and see whether you could see some kind of connection that I'm just not getting.
And as you say this to him, you can see his eyes like sparkle with delight. He goes, "Oh, yes, of course. Please let me see. Let me see. Do you have it with you?"
Aye, right here. And go over to the nearest table and just lay down the notes.
And he examines the notes, paying particular attention to the section around that diagram. He looks at it thoughtfully. He goes over to consult, gets a few like dusty old almanacs down, flicking through them. He pulls down a star chart from the wall, lays it on his desk. It can seem like getting a pencil out, making notes, writing around notes. And I'm going to say he has skills. I'm going to arbitrarily give him a score of 80 in astrology. So I'm going to make a roll myself. That is a hard success, not quite an extreme success, but it's a hard success. So it probably takes him, well, it's going to have to take him at least an hour, maybe 2 hours in order to get anywhere. But he is in his office, he has got one of those globes that opens up with lots of like drinks and booze inside, which he offers you, and you obviously help yourself. I imagine you would like to drink the place. After a couple of hours, he looks up and you can see that his expression has darkened somewhat. He goes, "This is all very harrowing reading, Mr. Smith. You don't believe there's any truth to this, do you?"
I have no idea. I've seen a few strange things recently. It does make me wonder whether a lot of this might well be true. One thing which I can see, but I trust the word of Jackson. And this is some rather erratic last part.
I am aware of Mr. Elias. I do have a couple of his books on my shelf, and you look over and you can actually see The Hungry Dead, his last book that he wrote about his experiences in Peru. And as he looks at you, he's saying, "Wait, you're that Mr. Smith, Denver Smith?"
Aye, that I am.
Oh, well, it's a pleasure to make your acquaintance. Yes, this is all very interesting and somewhat worrying. Like you, I have not complete trust in Jackson Elias. Some of his ideas are a bit far-fetched, but at the very least, this does seem to mean something. And he shows you the star charts that he's worked on in the book, and you can see like he's drawn constellations around them, almost like with little arrows showing how they would move. If this is correct, this reads to me like, I'll be honest, this reads to me like the ravings of a madman. But if this is correct, it seems to indicate a date.
Aye.
Yes. If these are meant to be if this is meant to be planets and alignments in this diagram, it seems to be a date. The date is, he looks at his notes, looks like it's the 14th of January 1926. That's next year.
1926. Well, at least it's time. Might be able to get cracked down on this before anything happens. So is that the stars will align in that particular way then?
Seems to be. It's a very rough sketch, rough diagram, but they do seem to correspond. Like you said, there's Cancer, there's the fish, Pisces, planets Mars, Venus. They do all seem to align in a similar configuration to this on this date.
That'd be. Well, if that's the day this is all going down, we best be ready for it. At least now we know we've got a counting down clock.
And there's more. He looks at his almanac. It looks like there's going to be a solar eclipse on that day. And as he says that, something clicks in your mind. You remember the dream you had a few days ago of destruction, and it began with a solar eclipse.
Better going down my spine on that one.
Yeah, make me a sanity roll for that then. In that case, I think that deserves a sanity roll.
Success, regular success. 0
points. We'll call that a zero. We'll call that a zero. You managed to hold yourself together and just like, yes. Is there anything else I can do for you? Something a bit cheerier, perhaps? Would you like to know your horoscope, maybe?
You know what? Before today, I would not have had much. Not before a few of these things, I wouldn't have had much of a belief in those things. But I tell you what, I'm up for the laugh.
Oh,
Go ahead.
To be honest, I don't believe anything either. But it just says you'll be going a long journey. But that's what it always says.
Well, it's at least right there. At least it's right there. I tell you what, we are going to be going off on our own little crusade. But if I have any other questions, would you mind if I slung a telegram over to you?
Oh, please, I'd be delighted.
I appreciate that greatly. Thank you, Professor Carrington.
My pleasure, my boy. It goes to shake your hand as well.
We both miss.
Both had a bit too much. You close the door and you hear the clinking of glasses. It looks like he's going to be settling in for a very long night himself.
I don't believe him. I'm going to head back to the others so we can at least talk about what we've done with that. I don't know if they've gone to go and see this Mickey Mahoney.
Mickey Mahoney is in London.
Oh, it's in London. Sorry,
the Scoop is in. I probably didn't say that. He works for the Scoop. It's a London tabloid.
Sorry. I thought you meant that he was one here. I was like, oh,
no.
Must best check that one off our list while we got the chance.
No. That's me. No, he's a tabloid in London.
Right. Well, in which case, I'm going to go back and relay the information that we have an end date if we don't manage to sort things out in time. 14th of January, 1926.
Gives us about a year then, doesn't it? And as soon as like Denver and Tim walk through the door, Flint's just going to shove shotguns in their hands.
Oh, what the hell do you give me a pea shooter for?
We might need them, and apparently they are the only firearms allowed in the UK.
Aye, you're right. That's unless you get a license and all that side of things.
Denver, you're a British subject, aren't you?
I am.
I think it's fair to say you already have a license.
I probably would. I was also a military officer at one point. It would make more sense than I would, but all the same, I'll take the pea shooter and all.
I was going to say, Flint also holds out the form he's filled in. I've been filling out this, and it's like got everything spelt completely wrong.
I love this. I've missed this so much.
Denny Smith. Who the hell is Denny Smith?
Oh, brilliant.
I don't know, but I've called my so-called peace shooter, as you call it, Olga.
Olga, eh? Fair enough.
Yeah, my father used a gun like this fighting against the Northwest Rebellion.
The Northwest
It's like-
Rebellion?
Yes, Louis Riel's rebellion back in 1885.
Well, fair enough. Personally, when it came down to it, the last time I used one of these was on a partridge. But if it takes down those guys as well as it takes down the birds, I'm sure it'll be fine. Did you at least get some of the hefty shells while you're here? They have to use them to take down buck after all.
I was going to say, I'm assuming Flint would have picked up ammo as well.
Oh, we can say that, yeah. That's.
I was going to say,
true.
he's just going to, like, point at a massive box in the corner. Like, far too much to carry.
Unless you're going to go and inspect the box just to make sure he's got the right one, you know.
It's the right one.
These are toys. No. This one says Nerf.
I'm going to assume that Flint has purchased 12 gauge. Yeah, 12 gauge.
I was going to say whatever the best kind of one he can afford is.
I would say it's 12 gauges. You managed to shoot 12 gauge shotguns, and in that case, I'm just going to add these to your character sheets. Let me know if you can see them. I've got one
Would
for
this be
Flint.
under combat?
This would be under possessions and possibly
Possessions.
yeah.
Yeah, 12 gauge shotgun.
One for Tim and one for Denver. I don't know if it's added it to your combat.
Right.
It has actually added it to your combat as well, I think.
There it is.
It has.
Awesome.
Oop, didn't mean to do that.
Randomly fire it in there.
Boom! That didn't happen.
Oh no, hotel for crying out loud. What the hell?
Don't worry, that didn't happen.
Damn, it was a success. I could have ticked it off as well.
Just when you hear a click, it's like, what the hell are you doing?
Well,
I'll have to
made this.
I'll have to look into how these things work actually, because I know they work differently at different ranges. Anyway, you just have to tell me if we can decide that afterwards, because if they're at different ranges, they do different amounts of damage.
Makes sense.
Is there anything else, or can we move to the 31st?
Oh, hang on. That's a good question when it comes down to, did you get pellets or slugs?
Oh.
Because that is something actually in the whole damage side of things. So one is due to their range.
I was going to say whichever hit harder.
I'm going to say it's pellets actually. I don't think it makes that. Well, from my point of view, I don't think it makes all that much.
The major difference it says is just for the sake of solid slugs, it has a definitive range of 50 yards. If it's the pellets, it has medium range and long range. 2d6 for medium range, 1d6 for long range.
Yeah, I was assuming it's going to be the pellets, because that seems to be the logical one for that one. Especially
It makes sense.
As you said, if it's like shots rather than a solid slug, that's probably why it's exempt in the UK.
Aye.
If I'm wrong, if anybody's watching this and I'm wrong about this, please do let us know in the comments down below. I'm actually interested. I'm interested in this stuff. Is there anything else anybody would like to do before we move to the 31st?
I can't think of anything else. Not at the moment. And there's a lot of places which we need to go and see, but they're all around the world. We do have at least some contact back here, if nothing else, so we can get back in touch if we need to.
Okay.
Otherwise, I'd say getting a couple tins of provisions ready for a nice long trip.
Where would I need to hand in this form?
Don't hand in that form. Take that. This is rubbish. You've misspelled everything. They will not accept it. Trust me. That is something I do know. And for God's sake, you put a smiley face here. Put horns on it for some reason too.
I would say you return it to the office where you got the form from, probably the telegraph office, and they would like transmit the details. And by the time, with the intent that by the time you arrive in London, it should have been processed.
Yeah, I was going to say over the coming days, I would have got Denver to kind of Help me fill out the form properly.
We'll get that done right, because this is something I do have some. Don't get me wrong, it's nice to be able to just sling your guns wherever you go everywhere else, but
And I was going to say, if Flint is determined to put that smiley face on.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
No, you can't draw targets on. It's a form. You do the target practice with it after it's been used.
But I just want to make sure they know where I'm aiming.
Right between the eyes if you're reading it. There you are, no doubt.
So, the 31st dawns and your ship will leave at 17 minutes past 9 from the port of New York.
Flint's up at like 6 in the morning, if not earlier.
Yeah.
Goes up to Denver, boot.
Kicks him, puts the boot in.
For God's sake. It's one of our last chances to lay in.
Nope, we need to be up. Come on, up, up, up.
You're worse than a Sarge. Right, okay, I'm up.
Goes over to Tim, boot as well.
Right.
Gonna prepare for that one day, I tell you.
You make your way to the port. In a taxi, you make your way to the port without too much trouble. Board the ship, and at 9:17 precisely, the ship sails out from New York. As I say, it will take 8 days to make the journey from New York to London, so 31st to 7th of February.
I was going to say, Flint spends the entire time seasick.
Well, you do have some options of what to do. You can, again, try and research some of the books that you've got, read some of the books that you've got, or practice with your new weapons or any skills that you think might need some increase. Chat with each other.
Spend a bit of time between throwing up, trying to teach Tim how to use the shotgun.
Yes, I would say that's a very good idea.
To be fair, I think I'll be taking some practice shots with that and all.
Okay. In that case, over the 8 days, let's see. Can I have Tim and Denver both make me shotgun?
Yeah, that's why I need the practice.
That's a failure from Denver, and a shotgun from Tim, please.
Yeah, which shotgun exactly? The short, medium, or long?
Just go. It doesn't matter. Just pick any. Just pick anyone. Okay, so Tim, you get. Sorry, Robin, you had. Sorry, Denver, you had that as well. So make me. It's an 8-day trip. I'll give you another one. Why not? Do that again, please, Denver and Tim. Another shot with a shotgun.
Do you want me to do one as well?
You don't need to do one particularly because you're showing these how to use it. Okay, and yeah. So both Denver and Tim, you may roll 2d10 and add the result to your rifle shotgun.
Okay.
So Tim adds 10 to his rifle shotgun.
Better.
Very nice. Very nice. So you can just click into edit mode for that and just edit the value directly against your rifle shotgun in the skills. And it will follow through to the rest of the sheet.
Well, that's a nice little change.
And maybe it's the bombing of the ocean, maybe it's his existing military training, but Denver is just like hitting all the targets. If you go to skills, Tim, if you go to your skills tab. Yep, and you should see rifle shot.
Hold on a minute. And weapons, what? Okay.
No, go to skills. Go to
skills.
Yep. Edit mode.
Yeah.
And you should see firearms on the right. There's a rifle shotgun.
Yeah. So what am I adding?
Change that to 36.
10?
Yeah, so that's 36 now.
Okay.
Very good.
hell of a kick.
It is a bit. You also have a nice collection of books of various types to, if you wish to study them, to see if there's anything you can gain from them.
I'm always up for a good read.
Okay. Anyone in particular?
Probably not. How many other books do we have? Do we have?
You have 5. You have 5 of the books.
All right.
I can make recommendations if you wish.
Being that it's literally just myself here, do you have a list of them in front of you?
Yes. If you go into your journal tab on Roll20 under America, there's a section called Tomes.
No, I was thinking of doing something a bit different when it comes down to it. So, so if you have it right in front of you, can you tell me what it happens to be the second book in that list?
Honestly, the second book is actually the book I would recommend. It's in French. It's Selections de Livres d'Yvonne.
I will start trying to read through that.
I'll say that there's like English notes on it as well, because it doesn't make sense otherwise.
Thank God.
You spend a few days reading this. You've already had the Cthulhu mythos for. Did you read this one? Which one did you read last time? Did you read this one, or did you read the? I need to remember myself. I know somebody read Narcotic Manuscripts. Tim read section. You didn't read this one last time, I don't think. So screw it. I'll give you it anyway. Can you make me a 2d4, a roll of 2d4, please, as you're reading this?
2d4, 8.
Yep. You lose 8 points of sanity.
Oof.
Right.
Can you make me an intelligence roll, please?
Hold on one moment. Let me just take off that 8 first. And make which check, sorry?
Intelligence, please.
Intelligence. Success!
Can you roll? You can either roll me a d10, or I can choose something for you.
For the sake of the laugh of it, we'll roll a d10.
Roll me a d10.
3.
3 is 3. So, make me a 1d10 roll, please.
1d10 roll. 8.
So, we'll pick an arbitrary day. We can say this is like the 4th of February. Wednesday the 4th of February. From about 10 o'clock to about 6 o'clock. Imagine you've all got cabins along next to each other. Tim and Flint, you hear the sound of furniture crashing coming from Denver's apartment. You hear the sound of cups and glasses being thrown against walls. You hear the sound of ripping fabric as Denver spends 8 hours in a blind, violent rage.
I was going to say, Flint's going to like open the door to the cabin, see this going on, and he's just going to quietly shut it again.
I was going to say, is there any chance I saw that?
Make me I'll allow it, just for the fun of it. I'll allow that.
See that? I'll go charging after you.
Tim,
You're going to charge after me.
I'm just going to charge out of the door and literally have, I'm guessing, a vase or something in my hand and just lob it at you. For kicking me in the morning.
oh dear. Denver, you do gain another 4 points on your Cthulhu Mythos for your troubles.
Cool.
And as you're reading this, I'm going to say, as you're reading this, and like, no, this Red Mist descends, you see something interesting in this book. You see what looks like a set of words, gestures, something to use for protection. Something called the Fog of Misdirection.
Fog of Misdirection. Interesting.
And it shows you like text of like words to say, a chant to say, and it tells you gestures to make.
Out of pure curiosity, as I'm sitting in the remains of my room, I start to try and learn the lingo and start practicing with the hand signals and try to enact it.
Okay. I haven't done this for a while myself, actually, so bear with me a moment while I just look up the exact mechanics of how this works.
Because let's face it, if I've been given a skill, I want to know what it does and how it works first.
Of course. I want. Sorry, I just had it right there. Literally just had it right there. So, because there is a role to do this. There is actually a role to do this. First type learning.
Not being a DM of this game, would it be power, maybe?
I'm going to say this takes hours. Can you make me an intelligence roll, please, Denver? And I'm looking for a hard success.
Nope, that's a failure.
And you don't have enough luck to push it. So you can try to push the roll if you want to tell me how you would push the roll. But you don't get to spend luck on the push.
I just sort of try going through. It's like I can feel there is something there. It's baffling me, and it just
almost
becomes
you feel like you almost had it. Yeah.
and it's just really sort of gets you to the point where he's like, once again, I'm feeling that sort of frustration coming again. I'm sort of feeling that power which was coursing through me beforehand, and trying to focus in on that. Realizing that it wasn't something which was mine, it was something which was sort of thrown into me from reading this damn book in the first place.
Okay.
Feeling like I'm going to try and tap into that in order to try and do this.
Okay. Make me the intelligence roll again, and again you're looking for a hard success.
A little bit better, but nowhere near.
Roll me a d8.
That's a 1.
Roll me a d6.
That's a 5.
So, this spell, mechanically, this spell would normally cost 2 magic points to cast. Because you've pushed and failed the initial casting roll, this occasion is going to cost you 10 magic points.
Right.
However, these do regenerate at the rate of 1 per hour, so they're very cheap to use. So,
okay.
And I believe you've got more than 10 magic points to spend.
I do. I have 17 and now down to 7.
That's cool. And I think this would tie into the madness that you've experienced. You temporarily go blind. You feel you lose your vision. Your vision goes dark.
Oh God!
And this like ties into you like slashing around, smashing everything up in your room. You do, however, get 5. You do, however, get another point on your Cthulhu mythos. Just the 1 point on your Cthulhu mythos. There's a lot of paperwork that goes into this. Actually, to be honest, it's quite surprising. And after 20 minutes or so, your eyesight comes back, and your room is just full of this noxious green fog, green smoke.
Immediately grabbing a cloth and chucking it over. Is it having any effect on me?
No.
Or does it just smell noxious?
It just smells. It just smells badly, and you can't see through it.
And literally sort of jerking the brush and putting my hand up in front of my eyes. I'll be damned. I just sort of literally spent some time literally playing with this smoke, which is almost like trying to see how long it lasts or see what happens with it. Because I'm guessing this is not a smoke which I've ever seen before.
It is not, no.
Oh, what are you changing? What are you doing? Oh, I see.
We have our first spell.
I just said, I'm thinking to myself, I just need Flint to pull my finger.
Oh, that's fantastic. Flint, what are you doing on this trip in particular?
Dodging a flower pot which came your way.
Yeah, dodging that flower pot. Ooh. I mean, between kind of teaching these two how to do shotguns.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, I'm just trying to think. He'd be possibly taking like whatever squirrels he had to the kitchens and trying to convince the chef to cook that.
Go on, screw it. Make me persuade. Your choice of charm, persuade, or fast talk, or intimidate, even any of them.
What were the options? Sorry.
charm.
Charm. Not going to be charm.
Persuade.
Persuade's even worse.
Fast talk or intimidate.
We'll go with the intimidate, I think.
Okay.
Whoa. Well done. Well done.
They
I'll
don't even
happily
question
tick
it.
that.
They don't even question it. They just literally like, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Of course, sir. Would you like it fricasseed? Would you like it sautéed?
However you think best, and it's to be served to all of the passengers.
That's a very large squirrel.
Oh no, he's like brought a bag.
I was going to say,
They
they
look a
each
bit.
get a nibble each. You know?
They look a bit worried, but they're more frightened of you than anything else. They just don't question it. But
I will come with some seabirds throughout the rest of the journey.
That evening, Denver, Tim, Flint, and everybody else, you see this very, very expertly filleted and roasted bayonnaise sauce, hollandaise sauce, salad, like very lightly marinated salad. But yeah, it is a squirrel. It is a squirrel.
Is it evidently a squirrel, or is it more by taste? Because they've made it into something else.
I think they've done their best to make it presentable. And the other passengers probably don't have a clue, but Tim's busy sniggering, but Flint's busy sniggering there.
Oh no, Flint's tucking in.
Yeah.
So it has a familiar nutty flavour to it.
I was going to say, once Denver's finished eating, Flint's going to look up and said, yeah, I caught that.
Wait, you caught... For God's sake, we're looking forward to decent meals on that sort of chain.
I mean, to be fair, it's actually not bad. It's like proper like Michelin.
But
Michelin star chef.
Yep.
And at least we know it's fresh.
From New York.
Fresh enough, anyway.
And it's been festering in the bottom of my bag.
I'm pretty sure at least the professional chefs will not be using the gamey parts.
Brilliant. And
It's all right. Later in the week, we've got freshly caught seagull.
No, we won't.
I love this.
We are not going seagull hunting. We're not going harpooning. We're not doing anything. We are on a cruise liner. They are meant to take us from point to point. That's it.
Oh, brilliant.
Whatever you say.
Tim, what are you doing?
Takes his gun off to the deck.
Tim, what are you doing in all of this chaos that is happening around you?
Just staying quiet and eating the food.
What are you doing in general over the days that you're there and not practicing with the shotgun?
Doing some reading.
Mm-hmm.
We're chatting with the fellow passengers.
Mm-hmm. Anything in particular you want to chat about with them, or just like chatting in general?
We're just chatting in general.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay. After a fairly uneventful voyage, in fact, I'm going to say that you can all roll a d6 and add it back to your sanity.
Very nice. I was going to say one last thing, if I could, was to literally just walk around and see if anybody sort of stood out as if like they're trying to follow or keeping a sharper eye, which is very difficult when Flint has been providing them with little stuff.
What can I say? The chaos gremlin in me got away.
You do look around, like you spend the days like looking around, but as far as you can tell, everybody seems on the level. Like everybody's like, there's nobody like taking any particular interest in you beyond what the antics that Flint gets up to. Probably one or two of the cabin crew do look a bit askance at you, Denver, when they had to clean up your cabin.
I gotta take a look when I come down to that side of things and say, I apologize for the state of the cabin, but I figured it'd be better to stay in there. And just looking with a sharp eye, as if you want to fight about this, I will happily. Look what I did to the cabin. Look what I did to you.
Yeah, apart from that, nothing really sticks out at you as unusual.
And before we end, as well, at some point, could Flint potentially try to get some like brawling tips from Denver as well?
I think Denver will happily. I think Denver will happily give those brawling tips.
To be fair, I think in that moment as well, it's going to be a case of, we absolutely can have some brawling tips. I do a bit of all that side of things. I'll find a decent little place where we can have a little shy away. I'll literally go and have a word with one of the people that looked at the cabin and said, he wants to learn how to fight. I need a little space. Where would be the safest place to take him?
Well, the front of this, there's a little section on the front of the ship that's not used very often. In fact, people do sometimes use it for friendly boxing matches.
Aye, now that sounds perfect.
Cool.
So we'll take you over there.
Yep. Flint, make me a fighting brawl roll, please. Yep, you can add a D10 to that.
Excellent.
In the midst of this, after we go a couple of rounds, and you're starting to get to the point of, no, I can't do anything, bloody idiot.
No, use your teeth. Use your teeth.
I would like to test out that spell on Flint for the first time.
Okay. So, this would be a couple of days after, so your magic points would be back up to full. So go on then. How would you do it? Play out the scene. Play out the scene for us.
I want us to go back to the point where Flint's in his own little cabin. A case of, okay, like, there is another little aspect which I think we can have a little chat and figure out about when it comes down to knowing your surroundings, knowing the bits and pieces, and getting a sense about what's around you, making sure that I get a clear idea of the entire room and such. And so, right, I want you to close your eyes. Trust me on this for a moment. And I start taking your fists, and you just feel me rolling them around, and just rolling around my fist and all that side of thing. I'm slowly sort of spinning you into different locations and getting you to sort of go into different fighting poses. It kind of feels like a martial artist master teaching his young hat what it's supposed to do. And twisting you around and around until I'm quite confident that you don't know which direction you're facing anymore.
Okay.
And tell you, okay, in a moment, I am going to strike towards you. I won't hit you, I'm going to strike towards you. And I want you, with your eyes closed, to try and figure out where that is, and to try and deflect. And you'll know because you'll hit me. And with that, sort of go to the side and start doing a little incantations. And making it sound like going in for sort of thrusts and such forth. And then the moment I let loose and cast out the spell, I go out the door and jam it shut.
Tim, no, Flint, after a few moments, you like striking out where you think he is, obviously not hitting anything. Then this like awful foul stench, like something rotting, like something's died and rotting in your cabin, fills your nostrils, and you open your eyes, and there's just like this green smoke, green fog all around you. You can barely see your hand in front of your face.
Oh, God, Denver, did you have to do that before you left? Your farts stink! And Flint's gonna just open a window,
You gotta find
lie
the
down
window.
and go to bed.
You gotta find a window
You
first.
gotta find the window first.
Oh, that's brilliant. I think some of the smell of this gets through to Tim's cabin as well next door. You just like smell this like something's died in the cabin next door, Tim.
Average
Yeah,
Tuesday.
Tim just puts a book down and rolls his eyes.
So, with all of that, on the 7th of February at 6:37 in the evening, the SS Mississippi docks at Southampton Port. Flint, make me a luck roll, please.
Look.
Your paperwork has gone through. You have your license for your weapons.
Excellent.
One question. Has Tim done any paperwork for any weapon or anything like that?
That's a good question, Tim. Would you have filled out a license for your revolver?
Oh, yes.
Make me a luck roll as well.
Okay.
Yours does not come through by the time, so your weapon will have to stay in your luggage for now. Probably take another couple of days before your license comes through.
I tell you what, Tim, why don't you hand that over to me? Worst case scenario, if we get it in a real bind, I'll chuck it to you.
Awesome.
I was
And
going to say, at this point, seeing his paperwork's come through, Flint's just going to have the rifle on his back, just out in the open.
I'm sorry, sir, you can't carry your gun in the open like that. You will have to, if you're going to transport it here, you will have to have it in a bag or a case.
Who's telling me this? Sorry?
The official who's the official at the port of Southampton.
You see Flint rumbling, and he reluctantly puts it in a burlap sack
Thank you, sir.
that he just pulls off the side of, like, the ship cargo. He's not happy.
And as you arrive in Southampton, we will pick up next time as you reach London. And yeah, that is the end of tonight's session.
That's been good fun. Thank you, Jeff.
It's been a great one, yes.
Let's go around and do our stars and wishes. I'm going to start with Brian. Stars and wishes.
Stars. I'd just like to bring back that a little bit about the museum.
Yeah, that was a good bit.
Yeah, I don't know if we do. I don't know if Edward will survive, but if we do campaigns and later Call of Cthulhu campaigns in later decades, I might have future members of the Beatty family bring up Edward.
Edward and the Trieste Museum.
Wishes that we'll have a good time in London, relatively speaking.
Amen.
Nothing will go wrong.
Of
Nothing
course not. It's in a
nothing
good
can
land.
possibly go wrong. I'm gonna go with Ben next, actually.
All right. My start by, I think, is going to be the point of going off and talking to the professor. Good old Professor Carrington.
Yeah.
Because I had a lot of fun with just that little aspect of coming up with the cookie character, and there he is. But as well as that, also being able to sort of try and figure out that damn thing, and once again, throwing in that you got a couple of the clues, but you didn't quite get it all. I have a feeling of maybe going for a bit more of it. Once again, it's because it's been so long and I haven't looked at any of this stuff. But I can't help but feel like there would have been something else to sort of try and figure around.
Yeah.
But get that and get that little clue of, yeah, you've got about a year before calamity. So maybe it's about time to start getting your acts in order. That and learning a spell and being able to fart all over Flint was a lovely thing. As for the Secret Wishes, well, I think my major wish now, I want to be able to put that spell into good action in a good point. I'm sure we will get a chance, but my God, is just opening up the chance of spells and just getting a hint that maybe that's going to be something which could come in quite handy, especially considering that I'm quite good at navigating stuff. So if I get a good lay of the land, chuck out that little bit of fog and then guide people over to roughly where we need to go to get out the way and hide, like casting a terrible magic trick. I think that'll be quite a laugh. It's something which I would very much like to try.
Robin.
To be honest, I've just enjoyed being a right little chaos gremlin tonight. I was going to say it's been ages since I've been able to unleash that kind of side of my role playing.
Oh, that's great. That's amazing.
But no, I've really enjoyed like the character interactions and just getting back to it, if that makes sense. I think wishes that we hopefully manage to get a consistent group fairly regularly as well.
That would be good.
Aye. For myself, again, just to echo Robin's, I've just missed this so much, and just I've been looking forward to this for such a long time. Just like getting back into it, just like not even like I say not even like doing anything like big, just like getting back together, getting our feet back, getting our heads back together, getting our feet back on the ground, and seeing where we go from here. I really loved like all the talk about like what these clues mean. I loved the little bit with the professor when you said like oh I want to see an astronomer, and I was like saying, well, what do you think you would be? Then coming up with that character. Funny enough, I don't know if you remember this, Ben. That was actually my first character from the very first Deadlight we did a good few years ago. That Sean ran.
Oh God, yes.
Is that
Can't
the
even put
one
that
that
as a
you
connection.
got me and Brian and Stanza to do?
Same scenario, but this is like before that, years before that. This is like my very
Yes.
first experience with Call of
Yes, because I
Cthulhu.
think you sent me the link to it,
Yeah.
the
God,
video.
yeah.
Professor George Carrington. He was a anthropologist or something at the time, but I thought like what the heck? It's a it's a nice fit in there.
Oh God,
And
no.
I love the opportunity. I love the opportunity. I love Brian opening up the opportunities like to bring back that incident about the Museum of History and Art in Trieste.
Oh yeah, that was brilliant. I mean, I know Ben, you weren't necessarily in on the
No, no,
joke
no.
until we explained it, but
All the same when it comes down to having those little cross jokes, that they are very good.
And I like
I
the
do
idea
like
that,
them.
and it just like the idea like that it does like tie these things together. Like there's like some sort of like shared like continuity between them as well.
Well, I was going to say in my Horde of the Dragon Queen game, I had Flintlock appear.
You did, didn't you? Yeah.
He was just a random chef within a inside of the camp. He was one of the hunters.
Oh wow. Okay.
Fair enough.
Yeah. Um. And yeah, and I also had Kieran's first character, Dr. Bauer, make a brief cameo in Horror in the Orient Express, healing up one of the character's legs there.
Yeah.
Which Robin didn't get at the time.
Yeah.
So I do like these little crossovers, like continuity sort of things. I love the whole thing on the boat as well. Just like, all the antics he got up to on the boat. That was great.
Aye.
I could say so much about this. I could just literally say like just the entire session, the entire episode, and be done with it. Wishes again. I'd really love like if we keep getting back into this like properly. We made a good start, and I just like think we can go on from there and see where this leads us, and also hopefully maybe we can recruit a couple of other people to this as well, because
Yeah,
this is something that I think that I'd really like to carry on with if possible.
definitely.
But that is for the future. For now, we will say thank you very much for watching. If you haven't done so already, please do subscribe to us on YouTube. Please do like and comment on this video. We have the playlist. You'll see the playlist appearing shortly for all the episodes of this campaign so far. I think we're all going to go back and watch them to recap, and I think it'd be a great idea. Yep. We have a Discord server where we're able to chat about this and all our other games. Links will be in the description below. And yeah, we will see you next time as we continue with Masks of Nyarlathotep. Thank you very much for watching, guys. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.